in a land of promise, sojourned in a land of promise, as in a strange current country, dwelling in tabernacles with Isaac and Jacob, the heirs with him of the same promise. For he looked for a city which hath foundation, and whose builder and maker is the Most High. Yeah, so for Abraham to just leave and ends out, even that was an act of faith, man. Looking for. I could check, but so Genesis 12 and 1, it says, Now Yahweh had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country. Actually, let me check the previous, because I think it's... Yeah. Alright. Where was I? Team losers. Okay, yeah. Genesis 12 and 1. Now when Yahweh had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land, and I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. Yeah, so as far as for Abraham, it was all based on faith, man. He says, Well, I will bless thee, I will bless them that bless thee, and curse them that curseth thee, and in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as Yahweh had spoken unto him, and Lot with him, and Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. Yeah, so Abraham just followed the word of the Lord, man. And let me switch. I'm gonna grab this as well. Job 8 and 8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow. Shall not they teach thee, and tell thee, and utter words out of their heart? Yeah, so with with coming into the truth, knowing you're an Israelite, you need to. That's why as well you need to read through the scriptures, man. Go into the histories, because you need to know about the men, basically of the Lord, man, and their conduct, because that's basically what we're molding ourselves in the image of, man. You know, through these great men, you know, we honor them, and we're basically try our best to emulate them, man, whilst we're out here. Because hey, these are men of the Lord. These are men of they're still going to be esteemed in the kingdom, man. And this is what, and this is something that even Esau knows, man. These elites, they know. Well, the heathen in general know of Jake's history, man. And that's a big part of and that's a big part of how they're able to come against us, man. Because Jake is ignorant to who they are, but that's why you're gonna have even with Ephraim and Southern Kingdom and Northern Kingdom, you still got schisms between them, man. And that's something that the Lord's bringing an end to, man. With what was it? With basically rebuilding the house of David, man. Because that's all that, you know, people in the world, they'll still be Jake will feel a certain way about Ephraim. Ephraim feels a certain way about Jake, man. But all that's, when you come into the truth, all that's done, man. All that's dissolved. But you even need to know the history behind that, man. Let me read this. Judah 5. Okay. Judah 5 and 2, it says, wherewith he was very angry and called all... He was very angry and called all the princes of Moab and the captains of Ammon and all the governors of the seacoast. And he said unto them, tell me now, ye sons of Canaan, who this people is that dwelleth in the hill country, and what they are, and what are the cities that they inhabit, and what is the multitude of their army, and where is their power and strength, and the king is set over them, or captain of army. Yeah. So that's, you know, Sun Tzu, the art of war, man. Know your enemy. So even Moab back then, they knew, man. So you know, these when you go to what is it, Psalms 83, you know, you get the list, the table of the list of all the enemies of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, and he even accounted among them, man. Because hey, these guys did their research, man. They've looked into, they've investigated, and basically schemed against Jake for how to keep these guys, to keep us on the bottom, man. And that's what Jake don't realize, man. They've got enemies that are out there that don't have your worst interests at heart, man. It says, and why have they determined not to come and meet me more than all the inhabitants of the west? Then said Achior, the captain of all the sons of Ammon, and these guys used to live round about, man, so they would have observed and seen, especially with Jake being taken down by the Babylonians. They would have been like, oh, okay, you know, they can utilize that information to scheme against him. So it says, wait, what? So, says, let my Lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant, and I will declare unto thee the truth concerning this people which dwelleth near thee, and inhabiteth the hill countries, and there shall no lie come out of the mouth of thy servant. This people are descended of the Chaldeans, and they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia, because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, and they were in the land of Chaldea. For they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the power of heaven, the power whom they knew, so they cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. Yeah, so even these other nations, they all know Jake's history, man, and how they got. This is why, you know, you meant to go into the history, man. You need to go into this and Jake in America. The guys that basically they might just be looking, because it's really played out now, man. The whole kind of that Afrocentric Egyptologist, all that shit, Pan-African, all that shit's played out, man. Everyone, all they're talking about is the Hebrew Israelites, man. All they're talking about is the Hebrew Israelites, man. Talking about Israel. That's all you're hearing about. That's all anyone's debating with. That's all anyone's talking about. Because why? It's the main focus. The Lord's basically brought it to light, man. And that's because what? You know, the YouTube's been flooded, man. YouTube's been flooded for years now. All you're seeing is mainly by GMS videos going out non-stop, man. Every day it's if you was even try and watch all the videos put out in one day in a week, you wouldn't even have the time, man. There's too many videos getting put out, but that's how the Lord's got the spirit going, man. It's flooded, the truth's flooding, and that's why it's inescapable, man. Everyone's talking about it. It's coming out on even you had what was it, a newscast that was done in New York, where you had brothers in the background. It's Esau's not even trying to put any shine onto brothers, but what it's regardless, the truth's getting out. Everyone's probably stumbled upon a video or two. They might have seen a debate, they might have seen something, But then that's what they hear, man. They hear about that truth. That they'll dig into it. Then they'll find if they start looking into it, they'll see, wow, these GMS guys are putting that work out. They're putting the work in, man. These guys are consistent as well. And they'll see what the prophecies we've been speaking about, like the mark of the beast, all these different things basically being spoke about coming to pass, man. Even the name, all these things. Hey, it's the truth's coming out, man. Because as soon as you do the first little bit of research, you'll find out, like, hold on, where that J come from?
Yeah, of course, intensive.
Okay, so Judah 5 and 9. Then their power commanded them to depart from the commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned and go into the land of Canaan, where they dwelt and were increased with gold and silver and very much cattle. But when a famine covered the land of Canaan, they went down into Egypt and sojourned there, while they were nourished and became there a great multitude, so that one could not number their nation. Therefore the king of Egypt rose up against them and dealt subtly with them, and brought them low with laboring in the brick and made them slaves. Yes, that's the same thing with Jake and what do you call it, man? In the old Egypt and the new Egypt, man. It's basically nourished for a time. So Jake's built up as a nation, man. Jake's numbers increased because it was a promise onto Abraham, man. Abraham, when he had no kids, when he was up in age. But then what? The Lord was like, yo, you're gonna basically be a nation. It's gonna be as the sand of the sea. And Yahweh Hashem Yahushua fulfilled that promise, man. Jake is there's hella Jake out here. And that's only gonna be increased. Well, you're gonna have 2/3 are gonna bite the dust, in the second death. But then after it says what? Even in the kingdom of heaven, said a small one shall become. I can't even remember. I can get the scripture still. Okay. So Isaiah 16:22 says, "A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in his time." Yeah. So in the kingdom, a small one's going to become 1,000. So even if now it could just be you, that's the least. And it says like a great one's going to become a nation. Hold on, and then imagine as well. It's like even now with the 12 tribes. You go back to the 12 patriarchs. Now each nation among Jake, each of the tribes has become to the point where they could rival a nation. That's how wild it is, man. Hey, the Lord can do what He likes, man. Because it said what? It was going into Egypt. It was what, 70 souls. But then that's why it's like they increased so much. And obviously Jake was so mighty. Hey, it was mad. So okay, verse 10. But no, I read that one. So verse 12. When they cried unto their power, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues, so the Egyptians cast him out of the sight. And Yahweh dried the Red Sea before them, and brought them to Mount Sinai and the Kadesh Barnea, and cast forth all that dwelt in the wilderness. So they dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed them by their strength, all them of Esebon, and passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country. And they cast forth before them the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Jebusite, the Sichemite, and all the Girgazites, and they dwelt in that country many days. And whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered, because the Most High, because their power, the hate of the iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. So yeah, these guys, these guys watched the the conquering of Canaan, because even the conquering of Canaan, that was that was terrible to behold, man. These guys, you have to consider Israel came out of Egypt, put thingy on smash, like every heathen they bumped into in the wilderness got annihilated. This was after Egypt had just been destroyed, man. Egypt was a superpower before then, and then they left. It was nothing, man. Because there's a scripture. It's funny as hell, man. What is it? Exodus. I think it'll be before then. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, Egypt 10. Egypt 10 and Egypt? Exodus 10 and 7 says, And Pharaoh's servant said unto him, How long shall this man be a snare unto us? Let the men go, that they may serve Yahweh their power. Knowest thou not yet that Egypt is destroyed? Yeah, so even before, whilst they were still thinking, everyone in Egypt already knew the place was done, man. The place was toast. But it was what? Because the Lord had Pharaoh harden his heart. It was through him. That's why, because he was basically bringing the fullness of the plagues on them, man. Culminating in what? In the Passover, man, where the firstborn of everyone, man and beast, they got fucked, man. Everyone, all of them got annihilated, and they said what? There was a great cry, man. Yeah, it's cold. Hello? Let me see if there was any more in Judith. But yeah, it's from before Jake was out of there. It was like Egypt was done, man. And it's a similar thing now, man. It's like people are this whole kingdom, this beast system. People are essentially think it's somehow still sustainable, can somehow be maintained. But it's like what you even see from the economic side. This thing's just being artificially maintained, man. For the last year or so, all you've had is the Fed, especially for the U.S. economy. You just had the Fed pumping in unbelievable amounts of money. I think they said since was it January, maybe 2020? I can't remember, man. But it's gone up like 2 trillion. It went up from like 20 trillion. I think it's. Let me double check, man. The U.S. debt clock. Let's see. I think it hit 22 trillion. Holy shit. What the fuck am I talking about? It's in 27 trillion. Oh yeah, because they added like 1 trillion off that. Fucking hell. So, yeah, I think it went up like 2 trillion from, well, maybe even more. Because they're putting through another bill. There's a couple trillion. So it's the US debt it's basically just been federal spending keeping the US economy alive. It's completely artificially bloated. That's why you have, the stock market still hitting all-time highs just after the first lockdown in the States, when a bunch of fucking people went out of business, man. A bunch of people losing their jobs. The economy just has been completely destroyed. But what? It's artificially being maintained, man. Same in the UK, man. You've had the furlough scheme that was meant to end going back forever ago, man. I don't even know what it's meant to have ended like 3 different times. That thing's been extended over and over and over again. So it's only artificial means, man. When you deal with a lot of businesses are just basically they're keeping people on because what they can still pay them by furlough. Once it's done, a bunch of people are going to be out of work. Even the benefit system, that thing's been gutted by the Tories for the last over the course of the last 10 years, man. That shit's been destroyed repeatedly. So, hey, it's a mess. But these things are, they haven't, the full impact hasn't been felt yet. Okay. So back in Judah 5, '19 says, "But now are they returned to their power and are come up from the places where they were scattered and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate. Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their power, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their power be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world." Yeah, so it's like back in the time in Numbers, was it 24? Numbers 24 and 25, I believe. You had Balak, the king of Moab, go to Balaam to basically try and bring a curse against Israel. It was at that point in time, the Lord wasn't allowing a curse onto them, man. So these guys, the history's there, and that's why they got destroyed, man. From Egypt going into the conquering of the land. Well, you had the years in the wilderness, but then what? The conquering of Canaan, the Lord was with them, man. That's why no one could do shit. Whilst they're in order, Jake, they can't be destroyed. But then it's like what? They go off. The Lord gives the heathen an upper hand to come in and take them down. And this is known. But what? Now in this present time, Jake don't know shit, man. Jake don't realize that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, for them, it's for us to be able to basically, have any chance, we just come back to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, follow the laws to the best of our abilities, and push His word, man. That's the only chance of salvation.
Very wise.
So Hebrews 11. So by faith, okay. So in verse 11 it says, "Through faith also Sarah herself received strength to conceive seed, and was delivered of a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised." It's fucking funny. Conceive and delivered a child when she was past age, because she judged him faithful who had promised. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude. Okay. Therefore sprang there even of one, and him as good as dead, so many as the stars of the sky in multitude, as the sand which is by the seashore innumerable. Yeah, from that one man who you wouldn't even think like, okay, seed's going to be conceived. That whole situation, the Lord was like, okay, I'm going to show you, because now you look back, you're like, damn. Verse 13, "These all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on the earth." Yeah, so the forefathers from their time, they didn't even see when Israel got the land, man. But you know, through reincarnation, they obviously got to, you know, be there. So it says, "For they that say such things declare plainly that they seek a country, and truly, if they had been mindful of that country from whence they came out, they might have had opportunity to have returned. But now they desire a better country that is in heavenly, wherefore the Most High is not ashamed to be called their power, for He has prepared for them a city." Yeah, that New Jerusalem, man, which is what is being looked to now. Because even with you know, Israel getting the land before, that was for a season, and the main problem of us even having a land is our incapability to keep the old covenant, man, the original covenant that was made on Mount Sinai. We you know, the creature was made subject to vanity. So even though we can get the land, you know, we're still going to go off, which is going to result in us you know, getting spanked by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But what we're looking to is that New Jerusalem where we're going to be perfected. Let me get that actually, and I'll come back. What was it? 1 Corinthians. So 1 Corinthians 15 and 42. So it says, "So also is the resurrection of the dead. It is sown in corruption, it is raised in incorruption. It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, it is raised in power. It is sown a natural body, it is raised a spiritual body. There is a natural body, and there is a spiritual body. And so it is written, the first man, Adam, was made a living soul. The last Adam was made a quickening spirit." Yeah, so, you know, the present corruptible flesh we're in, when, you know, the time of the new covenant, man, when the Lord basically puts the law in us, when we get them new bodies, man, when we're saved out of Babylon, then we're going to be raised in that incorruption, man, in that unable to go off, man. And it's what Adam, which is Yahweh Shai, it's like when he first came, was corrupt or went off as Adam, you know, through Eve, and then that's how, you know, death came into the world. But then what is through Yahweh Shai, that's how, you know, life's gonna come, man. We're gonna basically, Yahweh Shai was the first one that was raised up, was made perfect, you know, because he endured through, basically fulfilled, came in the flesh and conquered it, man. Conquered death and was perfected, and now through Yahushua we can also be perfected as well. It says, "Howbeit that was not first which is spiritual, but that which is natural, and afterward that which is spiritual. The first man is of the earth, earthy; the second man is the Lord from heaven. As is the earthy, such are they also which are earthy, and as in the heavenly, such are also they that are heavenly. And as we are born the image of the earthy, we shall also bear the image of the heavenly." Yeah, that perfection, because it's angels in heaven, they're perfect, man. They don't go off, they follow their instructions to the T. Them, and that includes Satan, man. This is, you know, you got, you know, the confusion going around that, like, oh, Satan, you know, basically the church pushing, like Satan's just out here renegade, looking to, you know, to get one over Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. But that's completely off, man. Satan's also an order, man. Satan's one of the angels. He does his job. Says, "Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption." Yeah, so we can't be in the kingdom of heaven in the same carnal bodies, flesh we're in now, where we're going off, man. Because, yeah, it says, "Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed." Yeah, so those that died in the faith as well, they're going to be raised up incorruptible, man. Just as, and then like with us as well on the earth, we're also, you know, we're not going to taste death. Let me read it. It says, we shall be changed. Verse 53, for the incorruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. Yeah, so that's how we're going to conquer death. Because what the sting of sin is death. That's why we even die in the first place. Because what? It's because we sin. But what? With no sin, there's going to be no death. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. But thanks to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, which giveth us the victory for our Lord Yahushai HaMashiach. Yeah, so through Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai has been perfected, he's now sitting at the right hand of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So we're going to receive that joint heirship, man, through him. And that's part of that salvation, man. Us basically being perfected when we're no longer able to go off. And then as well, receiving the kingdom as well, man. Receiving the rule, having a dominion over the other nations, man. Being able to get our revenge against them. Okay. What was I reading? Oh, yeah. Back in Hebrews 11.
Why not? Well, there we go. That's the authority issue.
Okay. Hebrews 11. Hebrews 11, 17. By faith, Abraham, when he was tried, offered up Isaac, and he that had received the promises offered up his only begotten son, of whom it was said that in Isaac shall thy seed be called, accounting that the Most High was able to raise him up, even from the dead, and whence also he received him in a figure. Yeah, so that's a great show of faith that Abraham was willing to sacrifice Isaac, man. Which it's like, people now, they'll sacrifice their kids for some fame, man.
Preparation, organisation.
For some money. But Abraham was willing to sacrifice what? For faith, man. Through faith. Trusting in Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Says so by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. By faith Jacob, when he was dying, blessed both the sons of Joseph and worshipped leaning upon the top of his staff. Yeah, so even with Manasseh being the firstborn, and when he blessed